Namaskar, Khushamdeed, hello. This is Anand, and I extend a very hearty welcome to all of you to the Slow Podcast. I will be your host on this show, which is the Talisman. But what is the Talisman? Everything that we buy or use comes with an instructional manual. Don't you sometimes wonder why we, the human beings, supposedly the most evolved species on planet Earth, have been sent without an instructional manual for life? If we had a manual for life, how would it look like? On this podcast, The Talisman, we will endeavor to evolve a blueprint for a happy and fulfilling life. A veritable instructional manual for life, you might say. The Talisman would unlock the path to our wealth, health, happiness, and well-being. But how am I qualified to even converse on this profound subject? Let me introduce myself. I am from the profession of arms and have been in the rough and tumble of active combat for the last 32 years. This podcast is an essence of my distilled life experiences, which include few near-death ones too. My study of scriptures of all religions and plethora of books and literature. I am in the top 0.5% of my organization, author of 2 books, one of which is an Amazon bestseller, and the third one is under publication. I have a balanced and happy life in family, physical, intellectual, professional, social, financial, and spiritual spheres. I am not an achiever extraordinaire, but a common man like you, and therefore I am convinced of the power of the musings that I have outlined for you in this podcast. Getting back to life. So in the absence of an instructional manual, we live our lives in the manner we find appropriate or correct for ourselves and pass away after our brief innings in this world. Do all of us go away happy? On the contrary, most of us have some big regrets when we die. The 5 biggest regrets of people on their deathbeds are: regret number 1. I wish I had dared to live a life true to myself, not the life others expected of me. A life lived in fear, a life in which either the person never dreamt or was too scared to follow his dreams. Did we live our life on our own terms, or were we doing the bidding of others? If we don't take our own decisions in life, someone else will take them for us. And trust me, they may not be always in your best interests. Regret number 2. I wish I had not worked so hard. Let's take a hypothetical scenario. You have joined an organization and aspire to rise to the very top. You work really hard for 2 to 3 decades, become the top boss, but forget to nurture your family along the way. Goes without saying that you have been so busy that you never took care of your health too. When you perch on those lofty heights of career achievement, you find that your spouse is a stranger. The children have grown and moved away without ever having a father or mother in their formative years when they needed them the most. You are beset with a few stress and lifestyle related diseases. Are you happy? Despite being successful in your career, have you been a success in life? Regret number 3. I wish I had the courage to express my feelings. Have you been able to live your life with a straight spine? Did you have the courage to call out wrong from the right, bad from the good, immoral from the moral? Did you express your love to your loved ones, your friends, to the persons who mattered to you? Or were you too busy ingratiating your boss with your fulsome praise, apple polishing? Regret number 4. I wish I had stayed in touch with my friends. This regret is an extension of the previous one. The only person with whom you can truly open up and share your happiness, your fears, your goof-ups, your crush are your friends. And that reminds me of a joke. Result agar acha ho, if the result is good. Ma, the mother says, Bhagwan ki kripa hai, God is great. The father says, Beta kiska hai? After all, he is my son. The friend says, चल दारू पीते हैं, let's have a drink. Result अगर बुरा हो, if the result is bad, mother, आग लगे इस मोबाइल में. This mobile deserves to be burnt. Father, लाड़ प्यार ने बिगाड़ दिया. Your love has spoiled him. Friends, चल दारू पीते हैं, let's have a drink. On your birthday, mother, जुग जुग जिए मेरा बेटा, wish you a long life son. Father, हमेशा आगे बढ़ो, you will do well in life. Friends, चल दारू पीते हैं, let's have a drink. Love में फेल होने पर, when you don't get your love. Mother, बेटा भूल जाओ उस चुड़ैल को. Son, forget her. Father, मर्द बन, be a man. दोस्त, चल दारू पीते हैं, let's have a drink. Moral of the story, दुनिया बदल जाती है पर दोस्त कभी नहीं बदलते. Everyone might change, but not friends. And that brings us to regret number 5. I wish I had let myself be happier. We all aspire to achieve happiness and avoid unhappiness. The problem is that we don't know how to define happiness. Does being rich or successful in a career or being a great homemaker define happiness? Let me narrate 2 real-life stories to you. There was this lady from far-off lands of Europe, from a country called Albania, who decided to make the city of joy, Kolkata, her home. She served the lepers, the destitutes, and orphans throughout her life. She even gave away her life in this worthy pursuit. We fondly call her Mother Teresa. Was she rich? I don't think so. But was she happy? You bet she was. Then there was this grand old man, a barrister at law, who gave it all up for freedom of his nation, for uplifting the marginalized, the outcasts, the poor, the downtrodden, even going to the extent of cleaning their feet and toilets. We rightly call him the Mahatma. Was Mahatma Gandhi rich? No. In fact, he had very few possessions, but he definitely was happy and joyful. Talking of happiness, the richest country in the world, the US of A, should ideally be having an all-happy population. On the contrary, the USA has nearly 1/3 of its population battling with stress. Nearly 42 to 45,000 persons commit suicide in America every year. On the other hand, we have the tiny Himalayan nation of Bhutan, whose per capita income is only a fraction of that of the USA. But Bhutan has not chased the chimera of GDP. It has instead evolved a brilliant parameter to gauge its intrinsic health, Gross Happiness Index, or GHI. Yes, Bhutan doesn't bother about money as much as the happiness of its citizens. In fact, even the wisest of persons, the acclaimed geniuses, also have regrets on their deathbeds. Abraham Maslow, the renowned American psychologist, propagated his famous hierarchy of needs theory. The needs were laid out in the form of a pyramid. Right at the bottom of the pyramid were physiological needs, roti, kapda or makan type, the air, water, food, shelter, clothing and so on. On top of this were the safety needs, personal security, employment, health, property and so on. The third layer was about love and belonging, about friendship, about intimacy, family, and so on. The second layer from the top was esteem, respect, status, recognition, freedom, and so on. But the top layer was self-actualization, desire to become the most that one can be. You would notice that the top need, self-actualization, was very individual in nature. Maslow on his deathbed accepted his folly and regretted his averment. He felt that love and legacy were probably the virtues one must work for. Very clearly, he was alluding to nurturing one's family, relationships, and social structures, even at the cost of one's own. You see, our initial tete-a-tete has thrown so many tantalizing thoughts. Issues which concern you, which concern me, which concern all of us. And this is what we'll discuss in this podcast, The Talisman. our path to well being, happiness, health, wealth, and life. Signing off, Shabba Khair. Please come back. I am waiting. Anand.
The views expressed in this podcast are that of the artist and do not necessarily represent the views and beliefs of the Slow app.